Okay, this is the how to pack your gear for the How to Be Human. So you should have received a required gear list. We'll go over that. It does talk about the importance of, we'll do the gear check and limit yourself to only these items. So I've thrown them out here. We're going to go over them individually and make sure you have them, and then I'll show you a couple different ways to pack them. So let's, first clothing, that's going to be the most important. I wear shorts and a t-shirt and then just a button-up shirt, and then you could take another, like a long sleeve or another like a light jacket or a hoodie. That way you've got layers. Layering is going to be key. That way you can take them on and off as it gets hot. This is the clothing I'll be wearing, and then the rest of the clothing down here, and we'll go through that. So yeah, that's good, I guess. I don't recommend any hiking boots, which good point to point out. We're not going to be hiking per se. We cover quite a few miles this weekend, but we're going on what's called a campaign. We're going to park. We're going to hump our gear in a certain distance and set up a camp in the campus out in the field. So we're gonna, not necessarily a field, but we're gonna set our gear down so we don't have to pack with an eye toward ultralight or carrying this gear all day long from place to place. That requires slightly different packing list. But let's go down and check this out. I'll go through the list with you point by point, make sure we have it, examples, and then we'll go over how to pack it into a couple different bags. So like I said, you want a set of clothing you're going to be wearing, which can be active. Layers, long sleeve shirt or short sleeve shirt, something that buttons down so you can open and vent, and then a hoodie or a light jacket over it. You're going to be the best judge of how cold you get. This is my 10 months out of the year gear, and then if I get cold I'll put on a blanket or a hat, so you might want a little more. So that you're going to also want to bring a base layer. Okay, so you're going to want to bring a pair of long underwear, basically long sleeve shirt, long pants, something that's going to be next to your skin that can stay dry. You can put on if we need an extra layer. If it suddenly gets cold, it will get cold, or it'll get colder than you expect. That just is the rule of being outside. It's always colder and wetter than you expect. Set a base layer. You're going to want to bring that. Next, it says socks and lightweight shoes. So lightweight shoes could be anything. I'm wearing my Merrells, or just a nice light pair of trekking sandals, and then the socks you're wearing. I have a pair of socks on with my shirt, and then an extra pair of socks. And what I mean are darn tough wool socks that I can wear or swap out at night, or an extra fluffy set of big heavy wool socks, not wool blend. Don't bring your Daffy Duck comfy, these are mine, I wear these at the house. Don't bring these camping. They're absolute garbage for camping. Nice. So an extra pair of socks. Besides the socks on my feet, or if I'm wearing my sandals, I have 2 pairs of socks. If it does get cold at night, I'll jam my little hands down in there like a pair of mittens. So 2 pair of socks. You're going to want to bring extra pair of socks. You're going to want a warm hat for sleeping. So you just want something that's going to be dry, that you can throw on and pull down over your eyes and nose at night to stay warm. Or you might want to use this during the day to layer up if it gets a little chilly. So we're going to put that over there as well with the socks. You're going to need a hat for the sun. You're going to need some kind of sun hat. I suggest a boonie hat or something with the brim to protect my ears and the back of my neck. Baseball style hats that only have a bill protect nothing. They're useless in the woods. I don't know why people insist on wearing them. The goal of a hat is to protect your ears and the back of your neck, and they do neither. So get yourself a good sun hat. This you will be wearing, so we'll set that to the side. This is an interesting piece of kit. This is called a buff. This one happens to be wool. It's just a long tube. You can wear it as a neck gaiter. You can put it on as an extra hat layer. You can use it as a handkerchief. These are not necessary, but it's a nice piece of gear to have. You could substitute that for one of your handkerchiefs. Set that to the side. Swimming clothing. These are the ones I usually pack when I go. Just throw them in my clothing bag. Then I can use them as an extra pair of drawers, or I can swim in them if I need to. But I actually will pack for this adventure a full swimsuit instead of just running around in my drawers. All right, put that over there in the clothing. So far, so good. You're going to want 2 cotton handkerchiefs, just standard, just cheap cotton handkerchiefs. This one has prints on it. Doesn't have to just be a plain cotton handkerchief, one of which should be brightly colored. The brightly colored one will be on your person. The extra one will be in your clothing bag. So we'll set that over to the side. You're going to want a large piece of cotton or cloth, cotton or silk, serve as a towel, and there are other uses that we're going to go over. So there's a couple choices. There's the standard size Morigami or a Shimog. You can get these at outdoor surplus stores. You can just cut a piece of cotton that's about 36 by 36 inches, and or a silk wild rag like our bandanas. Those are handy to have. Or you can bring a larger piece of cotton. This is my towel. I'm just bringing a Turkish towel that we're going to use for a lot of different things. So you'll want those large pieces of cloth. Then you can bring a sleeping bag, which can pack down. Not all your sleeping bags will be that small. Some will be smaller, some are larger. A sleeping bag or 3 blankets, at least one of which must be wool. I'd suggest 2 wool blankets and then maybe a thinner one so you can layer. Or a sleeping bag and 1 wool blanket would be good. I have my second wool blanket spread out here under the gear, and I'll show you how to pack all those up. You're going to want a sleeping pad. Now, you can get this accordion style closed cell foam. You can bring an inflating sleeping pad. You could even use one of your 3 wool blankets, fold it up and use that as a sleeping pad with a plastic ground sheet. But I suggest just getting a sleeping pad. As we go through this list, like it says on the outline here, any of these things you don't have, as long as I get the gear check review ahead of time, I can provide some of those. We have inflatable sleeping pads in the UV gear room. Okay, continuing through the clothing and covering. Rain gear. Here's another thing, just like cold, it is going to rain. I count on every time I go outdoors, it will goddamn rain. Every time. Middle of summer, it's gonna rain. And if I expect that, I expect to be wet, then I get there, probably 80% of the time it doesn't actually rain, but I just go out with the mindset I'm going to be wet. You want to take a poncho or some frog togs or some rain gear. You can get incredibly expensive rain gear. I find a US poncho works great because I can use this for other things. Or if that fails, the ubiquitous garbage bag. Not your under the sink lilac fragrant kitchen bags, but heavy duty contractor bags. You will need 2 of these. If you don't have these, don't worry about it. I'll provide them. I have a big spool at the shop, and we'll just pull them out so everybody has 2. We're going to use these for a lot of things. Might be helpful to get them early so you can pack gear in it. I'll go over that in just a second. And then the last thing you're going to want for your covering element is a good pair of leather gloves. Not gloves that are going to keep you warm necessarily, but work gloves. We might be handling some wood and plant matter and fire and such. It's good to have a pair of gloves. We're going to do some rope work. Leather gloves. That should take care of your clothing element. Then as far as cordage, let's go down here. You're going to want to have 2 lengths, 12-foot lengths of paracord. And again, this is something, don't go out and buy a big spool. We can provide the lengths of paracord, but you're going to want the 2 12-foot pieces. One's going to stay in your pocket at all times, so we'll set that over there. You're going to need 2 12-foot fast ropes. All right, we'll talk about that. One piece of the fast rope, the Paramax, you will be provided to be used during the campaign, and it's going to come with a climbing rated wide gate beaner, carabiner, because we're going to need these for some of the activities. So don't worry about this one. You'll be issued a rope. The other one, just get a 12-foot piece of rope. It can be hemp or just cotton clothesline, as long as it's 12 feet and it's something you can throw in your bag. Okay, so we're going to do some things with those. Cutting and digging. You're going to need basically 1 fixed blade knife, about that long. And these bright orange ones, we have a few of these at the clinic you can be issued to use for the weekend, but any knife, don't go crazy. You don't need a machete or a Rambo style knife. Just something that doesn't fold, a fixed blade knife. You can take an optional personal knife in your pocket, a little folder knife to open packages or cut string and cheese if you need that. I'd suggest brightly colored, or put a little brightly colored string on it so you don't lose it. The rest of the material, like the actual saws and axes and shovels, we're going to provide those. UV, that's part of the outfitting. But you will all be carrying them, not me. We'll hand them out. Everybody will share. Like, you get a shovel, you get an axe, you get a saw, I'll carry something. We'll spread it out and share in the community. Now we get down to bottles and bags. So you're going to need a backpack or a large duffel to carry it all. I'll show those at the end. You're going to need 2 large plastic bags. Those are the drum liners. We'll talk about those. We use them for everything. You're going to want 2 water bottles. All right, this could be simple. You could just get an empty bottle, or not empty, but a bottle of water, just a plastic that you can refill and hydrate with. And then at least one of the water bottles is going to be metal. You're going to have a metal canteen. These I don't provide because we just don't have enough. And it's a single wall, not a thermos. This needs to be something that, if needful, could go in the fire or be exposed to heat. Single wall construction, stainless steel. I suggest Clean Canteen because I like the wide open mouth. Clean Canteen, it's got a little hanger there. Or there's lots of other recommendations on our other videos. You can probably find that. So 2 water bottles. We will have other means of water. We'll bring a few gallons of group water to get us started the first night, but after that we'll be purifying and pumping and boiling our water, and UV will provide the necessary water filtration device. Where we at? 2 water bottles. Hey, now you're going to want a large cup or a bowl to eat and drink from. Metal is best. So I have this cup and a spoon. I'm fancy. My spoon folds so I can reach down further. Pinky's up. Right? But you don't have to. Just grab a kitchen spoon when no one's looking, or a plastic spoon even if you want. I wouldn't do that, but just a metal spoon, and then a cup. You could also bring a shallow bowl because you can drink from the bowl and eat in the bowl. And if food that has to be cut or whatever, a lot of finger food, just this will work good. One of the bonuses is your cup will nest here, and then your spoon gets rubber band to the side or whatever, your food bag, you're ready to roll. All right. Dun, dun. Fire and light. You're going to want to pick up a disposable, brightly colored lighter. I have my chapstick shock corded to mine with tape. You don't really have to do that. You just need a bright colored lighter that you're not going to lose, that's going to stay in your pocket at all times. We're going to talk about some other fire starting abilities, but you always want to have this in your pocket. So put that over there on my person. You're going to want to collect a little Ziploc bag of dry tinder. This is going to be your tinder kit. You're going to use that so we don't, in case it does rain, everybody will have a handful of dry material. Dryer lint is good, cotton balls. I just have some fake tinder here for demonstration purposes. You'll want to bring that. Where are we at? Fire and light. Sandwich light. Okay. Headlamp and or a small flashlight. Get yourself a nice headlamp. I like Black Diamond. Princeton Tech is good. Even a rechargeable headlamp will work, and an extra set of batteries. So this takes a couple AA, bring a couple extra batteries for that second night, and or a small pocket flashlight. Okay. You're also going to want to bring 2 chem lights. These are just the little things. Just snap them and shake them, and then they glow. You'll have 2. Doesn't matter the color. You're going to want 2, 1 for each night, and then in between the group we'll have plenty. And I can provide one of these at least to everybody. We use these for camp marking and such at night. So that's all you'll need for the fire and light. Salt and needle. So this is your hygiene kits. So your salt and needle. You literally, I always have a bottle of salt. It's used for so many different things. So I bring a small thing of salt, and then I have a toothpaste as an example. I have my eyeglasses and extra contacts in here, and then the most important part is your toilet bag. I would suggest getting a small bag. You could even use a Ziploc bag. You get a Ziploc bag and a marker while you're packing, so you can waterproof and itemize these things. Or you can use fancy stuffed sacks if you have professional hiking gear. But my toilet kit, in there is going to be toilet paper and or some wipes, hand sanitizer, and any feminine hygiene products as well. And then a small Ziploc bag, or a large Ziploc bag that's already labeled waste, that goes in there. And then you can stick in a small trowel or shovel. Mine's just already set up permanently, so I leave that in there. Or you'll make a digging stick or use one of the camp shovels. So that's your toilet kit. killing it. Here we go. Small bottle of hand sanitizer or soap, personal toiletries, eye contacts, medications, and then you're going to want, like I said, a small bag, pouch, or container of sea salt. We're going to talk about some different uses for salt. Sling and spear, don't worry about that. The book. You're going to want a small notebook and pencil. Doesn't have to be in a fancy case, but I have a pen and a pencil and a little notebook that I can jot down notes and keep track of things. It could be larger, journal size. Just think about your packing space. Okay? So you're going to want your notebook and your pencil, your phone and your charging cord. And it just says note well, the phones, we're not going to want the phones out during the event. So there will be a couple breaks where we'll say, okay, take some personal time, and then you can check your phone and you can look. You're probably not going to get a signal real strong out there anyway. Emergency calls can get through, but otherwise we're trying to put these things behind us. So bring your phone, just put it away, like it says here. So you're going to want your personal identification and a list of emergency contacts. I suggest writing that on a small note card, maybe an index card, tuck it in next to your driver's license. Caitlin, admin, and myself will have access to a list. Poor person, a tiny peepee. So, list of emergency contacts and ID. And then the last thing is you're going to want a signal whistle. You're going to want some kind of, I like brightly colored whistles on a lanyard. This is going to stay on your person. I will be handing those out as well. So if you don't have a whistle, we'll make sure you have one. I think that's it on the list. All right, food and drink. We're going to have a couple designated meal times, but you can sort of snack as we go as you need breaks through there. Friday, Sunday on the way, we're going to stop and do road snacks, so you guys can eat or not as required. Foods that require minimal cooking are strongly suggested. So this is my food bag for the weekend. I'll probably bring something for a meal, but I've got some jerky and some cheese and some packaged ghee, little squeezed butter ghee. I've got a soup mix. I've got a chocolate bar. I got some electrolyte drinks and some tea. So I'll probably fill that out a little more. Feel free to bring as much snack and food as you think you're going to need. There will be no refrigeration though. Minimal cooking strongly suggested because not mastering the campfire on this first one might be an issue. Cooking in pans, things like fried eggs or pancakes, that stuff's completely out. Don't even think about that. You want to bring a hunk of meat and put that down in your bag, maybe rehydrate it and cook it over the fire on a rock. That's a great idea. Sometimes I do that. I do note, bring a little more than you think you'll need. Outdoors, you're going to go through a lot of calories, energy, and stoke your appetite, and hungry people are crabby people, and it's no fun when everybody's hungry and bitchy. So that's why I bring that food, because I get really bitchy. You can always share the extra food if you don't want it. We're not hiking, campaigning, so it won't matter. Bring drinks, coffee, tea, etc. Anything that makes you happy. No alcohol, though, so you'll get happy, but not too happy. All right, so that should be the entire list. Then all the necessary gear like shovels, boo-boo kits, bug nets, the actual shelters you're going to be sleeping in, all of that I will be providing as the outfitter. These would be the gear you need. One, maybe couple extra suggested pieces of gear that I put here was the buff. These things are great because you can put them on as an extra hat at night if you're cold. You can pull them all the way down around your neck, which is surprisingly warm. It'll warm you up. This is a good thing to have. You can store them around your wrist when they're not in use. You can use them for wiping your face at night. You can use them for all kinds of purposes. This is not a buff video, but that wasn't on the list. You could substitute that for maybe one of your pocket handkerchiefs. And then this, just an Amazon Prime bag that you can sit on, keep your tush dry when we're sitting down on the ground. You can bring a little stool too, but I'd rather have you sit on the floor or on the ground. So bring a little something to keep your butt dry. If that fails, you can always sit on your garbage bag or one of your wool blankets or your poncho or your gloves or your hat or your sleeping pad. Or you can just sit on the dirt and let your butt dry. It's fine. But that might be one suggested extra bit. Now, as far as organizing the gear, So you're going to gather all your small stuff, like your flashlight, your personal toiletries. You might have a Ziploc bag that says toiletries. Or you can be real creative and take your extra socks and stuff your things down in one sock and small items down in another sock. I have a little bag I use, and then in here I'll throw my lights, my chem light, my personal toiletries, my spoon and salt, my little notebook maybe, or I might keep that separate so I can write on it, or we'll get it out. I throw in there my tinder and my extra cordage, and then I have my food separate. I'll put my little Amazon bag in there for now, just because we're doing that. Right. And I'll set my marker and extra Ziploc bag off to the side. Okay, and then some of these things will be on your person. So for instance, I'm going to have my hat, my sun hat out, and my buff, my brightly colored bandana, my whistle, my lighter, my 12 feet of cordage, and my knife. They're all going to be on my shoes. That'll all be on my person as I'm walking around. So I'll set those things off to the side. Now, with one of your garbage bags or a dry bag, a roll bag, I pack my clothes in a dry bag. I'm going to put in my sleeping hat and my swim shorts, my extra pair of socks. I got too many socks, but I'll throw them in there. My base layer, my extra handkerchief, and maybe one of my little pieces of cloth or towel, although this usually gets packed separate because we're probably going to use it. All right. If you don't have a dry bag, that's going to be the use of one of your garbage bags. Or you might be able to stuff all that in a Ziploc bag. All right, so we're narrowing down here. We're going to set these things out as they're needed. All right, so sometimes you hear a lot of nonsense about how to pack, and everybody's got different opinions. Sleeping bags on the bottom, heavy stuff up and towards you. On a longer hike, that'd be something we talk about on a campaign. It's really not that important. You're just going to be moving the gear. We'll just take little breaks. We're not going that far. We'll take the gear out and situate camp. So that's not as vital. However, the different types of bags you carry. You could go with something as simple as just a large duffel bag. Okay? The main guideline I suggest when you're packing is the things that you might need to get at on the trail or immediately when you get to camp should go in toward the top or in last or in exterior pockets. These are going to be one of your water bottles. You're going to get thirsty walking. We're going to set that off to the side. Your rain gear, that has to be on the outside, and your potty kit. This has to be on the outside. Okay? You don't want to be digging through your bag. You might want to put your snacks near the top too. I mean, we're not walking that far, but who knows. So the other thing you can do is use a traditional backpack. This is my Arc'teryx Needle 55. This is not a big bag, but it usually has got everything I can do. If you don't have a bag large enough to stuff your sleeping bag down into, which I suggest goes down on the bottom, you're going to want to strap that to the outside. It's going to have to be in a waterproof bag, wrapped up in your garbage bag. If you don't have a separate bag for your sleeping bag, one of the things you can do is open up one of your garbage bags and then put that down inside your backpack and then load everything into that. Spin the top of the bag shut and you're good to go. We can actually show that. But for right now, let's imagine I have a sleeping bag in a separate waterproof bag and I'm going to strap it to the outside. We'll set that aside. So in my bag is going to go my blanket on the bottom because I won't need that until later, my sleeping pad, my extra water bottle and cup, my little Ziploc bag of all my small necessary items, my cordage, my towels, my extra garbage bag, my clothing, just sort of layer that in there. And then as I get toward the top, things I might need. A pair of leather gloves, my snacks and food. By the way, I know there was some concern. All of our food is keep in a Ziploc bag, write your name on it. We're going to be gathering that up into a larger bag, probably one of the empty duffel bags at night, and bear bagging in a traditional triangle style camping setup that you do in bear country, so no worries about that. Toilet kit right on the top, and poncho. My extra water bottle could go in a belt pocket or a hip in case I want to get a drink. Then I would zip that shut, sling it over my shoulder. I can show you other ways to carry it, and boom, off we go. And you're right up camping. Now, those of you that are using a backpack, a more traditional style backpack, let me go over some strategies with that. Like you don't have the bag, so let's go over that. So, if I have my sleeping bag on the outside and my bag gets full of this stuff, usually you can tie or strap your backpack to the outside. You'll probably be tying or strapping some extra gear that you carry from me as we go. The tarps have to be transported, the shovels, the axes, saws. But let's say you don't have a fancy outdoor bag. So you're gonna find your garbage bag, one of those 2 large garbage bags, and we'll do this if we have to repack that morning. I take my garbage bag and I put it down inside my backpack, and then I set it up like that. Now the last thing I'm going to need is my sleeping bag. Right? Not going to need my sleeping bag, so I'm going to stuff that down in the bottom of my pack. Doesn't have to be rolled. Stuffed is good because it'll fill in all the nooks and crannies. Then I'm going to put down my extra blanket on top of that. Then I'm going to put my towels toward the middle or bottom next to my extra clothing. That goes down in there. Then my little bag of goodies, various things I might need later. Rope on the top because it's a little heavier. Extra gloves toward the top. Bathroom kit. Rain kit. Snacks toward the top. Usually backpacks have a little pocket on the outside for a water bottle. If not, I'm going to sit them upright and wedge them down inside the the backpack so they're upright, just in case they leak. You can also, if you're afraid they'll leak or you don't trust the water bottle, after everything's in your bag, smush the air out, spin that garbage bag up, set it down in there, then set your water bottles in the top of your pack alongside of it. Draw your bag shut or buckle it shut. A lot of most backpacks have some sort of top lid. You can close this down. They have different cinch straps on the side, and a lot of them have a pocket at the top. I could have put my rain gear and toilet kit separate in here so I don't have to open up in the bag, but I'm assuming you have a very simple bag. Sleeping gear, my sleeping kit, that I can just tie, lash, or strap to the outside, and I'll be able to go along. And then I have this other wool blanket. I can just throw that over my shoulders. I didn't even use all the pockets here. A lot of times if I get packed up and we get to camp and it's going to be a little cooler, if I have my water bottle, I might just take my extra wool blanket, or in my case my coat, and just throw that up over my shoulders if it's cool. If it gets a little colder, I can just fling it back and let it hang on my backpack. I can throw it over one shoulder. I can roll it up and tie it to the back of my backpack. So lots of things you can do that if you're bringing that extra blanket. So the main thing I would suggest or to remember is you want to be able to get at certain things fast or quicker. A drink of water, you're going to want that toward the top or in an external pocket. I might want my snacks, things like my rain gear, my toilets kit, my gloves. I might put those in that pack on the top so I can get quick access to them. Other than that, it doesn't really matter in what order you put the things in. We're just campaigning out, and you'll be there before you know it. If you don't have a backpack or a duffel bag, there's ways to form a pack out of your blanket. I just put all this stuff in the middle and roll it up, a couple little lashings, and we can make a pack out of a blanket. Pretty sure we have a video on that. If not, that's a good idea. So go through your gear list, lay it out, put it in a big bag, duffel bag, garbage bag, roll it up in a blanket. If there's anything you're missing, check that off on the list, get that back to Caitlin, and I'll do a gear review. I'll make sure everybody has I'll fill in little nooks and crannies. We can provide some ropes and knives. Some gear you will be provided, like the carabiner and the fast rope for some of our activities. You will be provided ferro rods to practice, hatchets, shovels, saws, the tarps, the sleeping pads if needed, and I think that's it. So that's going to be your gear list for the How to Be Human event this fall, couple weeks. Don't bring any extra stuff, just that. All right, if you have any questions, let me know, and see you in a couple weeks.